Welcome to MiniQuest64, where we bring video games to life. This time I will build a diorama based on one of the oldest Nintendo franchises, Donkey Kong Country.
Nice.
So let me show you what exactly we are going to build today. I choose Gnawty's Lair, the first big boss, as our concept art. But what would you like to see? Write it down in the comments. Now, when I start following my passion and create stuff, I usually end up with the same thing to begin. A piece of wood. Not the right size saw, so I saw it down to a more miniature fitting one with a chop saw. Because a simple piece of wood is pretty boring, I took my circular saw and a banana for scale. You might have guessed by now that I have a tool hoarding problem. I marked the wooden strips to fit our wooden base and pre-saw them with a circular saw. Then I angled my chop saw to 45 degrees and saw some angles. Nice, and I didn't even need to show you the 10 pieces I cut too short. With a little help from Candy Kong, we can now motivate our PVA glue to come out of its tube and attach it to the wooden base and all of our strip pieces. Some leftover cork bark will make for some great rock formation, so I just broke them to pieces like the energy prices broke my bank account. Instead of PVA though, I like to use hot glue because it just dries so much faster. So I glued the pieces on top and creamed every hole like it was my last day on Earth. Hot glue makes for shitty rock textures, so I grabbed some milliput, a 2-component epoxy putty, to change that. I cut down some equal sized pieces and spent some time mixing these. Then I attached it to the base to form some hills and hide all the hot glue. After I covered all the parts, I took a little cork bark and smashed it on the soft epoxy putty to create some rock texture. Then I covered the bottom with thick PVA glue, a lot of sand and some stones, which I rearranged to make it look more realistic. I covered the base with a dark grey base coat, added some brighter grey and brown tones for variety, washed everything with a dark shade and dry brushed different brighter grey tones on top to make it look more like the rock. Your forearms should resemble Popeyes though. Well, looks like rock to me. Now we need a lot of Donkey Kong bananas. Still too big? Yeah, that looks nice. But we can't just put them on top, so I spent way more time than I would like to admit to place every single banana in a reasonable place. But I do think it was worth the time spent. Let me get that sweet banana yellow there and apply it to our own bananas. A dry brush with 2 brighter yellow paints will make every single banana stand out. Then I used the brown contrast paint to add all the brown spots and make it a little more realistic. Finally, a glaze with a green color to blend everything together. 5 hours later, I mastered another useless skill, painting bananas. But you can also just drop it in a pot of paint. Before we move on, we need to drill some holes, one for the street sign and the other for some LED filament that makes our banana pile glow. I always wanted to use these LEDs that I've seen so often on bully Hobby Times dioramas. I soldered all the cables and placed some shrinking tubes on top, but don't worry, I'll explain the electric concept in detail later on. I stuffed the banana piles with cotton, which will help us to create the glowing effect since a direct look into the LED filament is way too bright. All these bananas made me hungry. Oh hey Misha, here, have one too. So before we continue, how about you stop scratching your beautiful hairy butt and put all that energy to scratch something way more important. While I take Misha to get a stick for a little sign. I cut the stick first and added 2 additional coffee sticks with some super glue. God damn it. Then I raised the diorama so we can finally paint the wooden strips with some wood stain. This will need several layers. I took some green and brown tufts to add some variety to the base. That is not part of the game, but I still like to give everything a personal touch that varies from the initial art. And continued with the painting of the sign while our wood stain was still drying. I think I spent an hour or more just writing Gnawty's Lair on that sign. Now onto the electronics. 2 AAA batteries and a battery holder will provide 3 VDC. We connect this to the copper PCB. Add a 2-position switch to turn off one power supply line and connect both LEDs parallel to one end of the switch and the positive power supply of our battery. Switch off and on. And now let me just quickly solder everything together.
Okay.
In the last step, I screw the battery holder onto the bottom and attach the PCB with double-sided tape. But the holder was too thick and I had to come up with a little wood piece to raise the diorama a little higher. I am officially an idiot. Gnawty's layer is finished, but wait, something is missing. Little Gnawty boy is joining the battle. Let's hope it won't end like last time. I 3D printed a big version of Gnawty to get a sweet looking time-lapse where you can clearly see that I should have rotated him so you can see his face. Gnawty was obviously too big for our tiny little diorama, so there was only one thing left to do. Mini Gnawty needs some colors. Imagine Mr. Gnawty from Donkey Kong Country meeting Mrs. Gnawty from DK64. So I painted some fur using a lot of bright blue colors and many lines on top of each other. I painted his nose and eyes, layered some skin on his hands and ears and stippled some brown colors on his tail and belly. And after 3 hours, little Gnawty boy is in fact joining the battle. I hope you haven't forgotten about this bad boy. We will paint him now with some non-metal metallic gold. I'm actually quite proud of this one. Everything is put in place. Now are you ready for some light? Just kidding, I have one more thing for you. Let me introduce you to my favorite Kong and animal pair, Diddy Kong and Winky the Frog. Ain't no way I'm crafting a Donkey Kong diorama without these two buddies. Still too big? Much better. These two were much more difficult to paint. They had many hard to reach areas, and after a couple of hours I was able to proceed by layering his skin, stippling his fur and finish his famous red shirt. Then I took some time to get the eyes right and proceeded with painting the skin of Winky, which had a cool brownish pattern. I think Gnawty might be in trouble because he turned out a little too cute. Now get ready for the glamour shots. I want to thank my one and only Patreon Sam Lowry, and special thanks to my great inspiration Stutson Studio with his DK64 tree video, Boole Hobby Time and North of the Border. Thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, you're gonna love this one.